The following segment is sponsored by Daniel A. White and Associates. It does not necessarily reflect the views of WDEL or Forever Media. Rick Jensen on 1150 AM, 1017 FM, WDEL.
Well, they should. So I've been a client of Dan White for many, many years. Very, very happy with these guys. It's Andrew Wood, Dan Simon, Dan White, key players there with Dan White and Associates. Financial planners specializing in retirement income. And Dan Simon's on the phone right now. How are you, buddy?
I'm good, Rick. How are you today?
I'm well, thank you. So let's see. Inside, raining. Yeah, make a bunch of phone calls. You might as well.
You got it. Yep, kind of a miserable day out there today.
But a lot of folks are making a lot of plans for the end of the year. Interesting that there's so many changes to IRAs, inherited IRAs, of course, the Roth IRAs. Each of them have these different rules. They were changed in 2020. Now some of them have come back, and it's good to have guys like you to advise folks because you have this knowledge. And I like this. It's like, okay, so you're eating your leftovers, and now with your leftovers, Dan Simon has IRA rules we can give thanks for. I like that.
Absolutely. So as we are now, I think, full tilt into the holiday season here, I wanted to talk about some of the again, as you mentioned, IRA rules that we can certainly be thankful for. The first of which are Roth conversions. I feel like we talk about these all the time, but shouldn't be overlooked because it really gives the account owner a lot of control as to when they're paying taxes on their IRA account. And the Roth conversion isn't limited to anyone. You can do it at any point in time, any amount. Just requires you paying the income tax now, and then the money down the road you can withdraw tax-free. So Roth conversions are definitely something to be thankful for these days. And probably even more thankful for in the future, given the fact that I think taxes are likely going to be going up. The second one are bigger contributions for 2023. While inflation's certainly no fun for anyone, government recognizes this. So they did increase the contribution limit for traditional IRAs and Roth IRAs, so $6,500 for those under 50. And then they do give you an additional catch-up provision of $1,000. So if you're over 50, you've got earned income. You could potentially contribute up to $7,500 into an IRA for retirement income. And then the fourth of which, I kind of call it the sweet spot, and I like how it kind of refer to it that way because what it really does, it offers you a lot of flexibility. And what I'm referring to is the age period between 59 and a half and 72. Prior to 59 and a half, you're a little bit hamstringed as to how you can withdraw funds from an IRA account. Potentially, there's a 10% early distribution penalty. But between 59 and a half and 72, you've got the flexibility to determine when you want to take the money out, how much you want to take out before you reach the obtained age of 72, where the government tells you you now have to start taking the money out and paying taxes on it for required minimum distributions. And then last but not least are the QCDs, qualified charitable distributions, which if someone's philanthropically inclined, charitably inclined, they can utilize their IRA assets to make what's called a qualified charitable distribution or donation so that they don't have to pay taxes on it, assuming it goes into a qualified charity there. So a lot of different things to be thankful for, specifically when it comes to the IRAs. But again, the importance, as we always stress, is knowing the rules and using them to your advantage.
I appreciate that. Right now, most people that I've talked to are wondering, oh, hell, how do I make up for all these grand, horrible losses we've had in 401k plans, IRAs that are exposed to the market and such like that? It used to be like even in 2020, we had that big dip, right? It happened, I think, in April or so, April of 2020. March. And in March, thank you. And we all knew it was going to come back at some point. As a matter of fact, it was a buying opportunity. Now, with what's going on with the Fed, spending from the Biden administration, and this self-inflicted wound of inflation that's happening, people are wondering, well, what the heck can I do? Because we don't feel as confident, and I know I don't, that the market's going to come back in a relatively, reasonable period of time, a year, I mean, who knows. But you guys, you also have a strong focus on protecting the money that you've saved for retirement right now and minimizing exposure to the markets, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And, we use the term a lot, or the phrase a lot. You're not going to pick the best day to get out of the market. You're not going to pick the worst day. But it's in line with, your own personal risk tolerance, whether you've got enough assets to fund your own personal retirement income. And the other reality is that if you don't need to take a whole lot of risk with your money, why would you take a whole lot of risk with it? Again, we do work on the asset preservation and the income planning side of things. It's interesting. Dan White and I were talking about it yesterday. With where interest rates have moved to, I mean, you could lock in at somewhere around 5% on a 5-year fixed rate right now. And I was like, wow, that's great. And he's like, yeah, Dan, but that's like normal. We've been living in unnormal times for the last 10 years with interest rates being so low. So rates have come up a bit. It's obviously impacted the market along with inflation's had an impact on the market. I'm still looking for this guy Who that you mentioned. Who knows where the market's going to be going?
Doctor Who.
If you find him before me, let me know. But yeah, it's interesting times right now. But again, if someone's on the younger side, it should be a long-term approach.
Well, if you've ever watched the BBC Entertainment or BBC America, you know who Doctor Who is, and he is a time traveler. So that's who you need to find, Doctor Who. All right, man.
You got it.
Sunday morning at 7:00, Dan White with On the Money. Always great topics, news you can use at 7:00 in the morning on Sundays. On the Money with. Sorry, Dan White. I was actually got distracted looking at something else on the email here. And you're in the Middletown office, 888-690-8820, 888-690-8820, Dan Simon. Good talking to you, my friend. Be well.
You too. Have a great holiday season, Rick.
Yeah, Dan's going to go back.